graders, for this one, you definitely need to have all your counters. In fact, I recommend you have a double 10 frame like this. I'm going to put a link, so if you have a printer at home, you can print out one of these. If your family is okay with you taking an extra day to get one, your mom or dad could text me and I can get you one of these. Or, pardon me, we've put out counters a lot. You're familiar with that. You could just put out the counters as though they were in a 10 frame, but you definitely want to have the double 10 frame. So I recommend get to a place where you can have a piece of paper or maybe just some open table right next to you, so you can arrange your counters like there are 2 10 frames there that could have counters in them. I don't have my extra light right now, so this is going to be a little darker than it normally is, but I think it's going to be all right to see. Just kind of pretend it's evening or candlelight or something like that. So here's my paper with the double 10 frame. Like I said, you can just set yours up, you know, a row of 5 with another row of 5 neatly underneath, and then a space, and the rest down here. So what we're working on here with lesson 4.5 is break apart to subtract. So we've kind of done this when we've been adding. And if we had maybe 9 over here and 3 over here, remember how we would take 1 here and put it here to fill up this 10 frame? We're going to be doing something kind of similar. Now here you can see obviously they're not thinking you're going to actually have counters in these 10 frames. They're much smaller. So for right now, go ahead and just get your yellow crayon and a red crayon to work with. But when we turn the page, you can try doing it with just crayons. I'm going to really strongly recommend that you actually use counters. All right, so Tom had 14 pennies and he gave 4 to his sister. How many does he have now? So remember, we always start with red. And we've done counters kind of drawing them like this, right? You don't have to make whole big circles. You can just make sort of these large red dots. He gives 4 pennies to his sister. How many does he have now? So actually, we should probably switch to pencil, and I'll use my black marker so you can see a little better. We can circle the 4 and cross them out. We did that earlier with subtraction back toward the beginning of first grade for you guys. Do you remember where we had actual pictures? And so if 2 birds flew away, we'd circle the 2 birds and put an X through the circle. So how many does he have now? That's really easy to see, isn't it? Because we didn't have to do any rearranging with the 10 and there weren't any extras left over. But now we're going to imagine down here we have a second story using these pennies that are left. So go ahead, you should be doing this along with me. Pause if I get too far ahead of you. Put your red dots in, make them, you know, I'm not just doing a dot like that, am I? Make them big enough to see easily, but you don't have to make a whole circle. Then he has a brother, not just a sister, and he gave 2 pennies to his brother. How many does he have now, right? You guys know 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 pennies. Now take a look here at what we've actually subtracted. We subtracted 4 up here, and we subtracted 2 down here. So how many pennies did Tom actually give away? Well, 4, let's count up 2 more, right? 4, 5, 6. So he had 14, he gave away 6, and that left 8. But do you see how we did it in 2 steps so that we got to the 10 first? That's what we're working with today. We're going to take this number that we're taking away and we're going to split it into 2 parts. We're going to take apart the first one that's going to get us back to 10, and then we're going to take apart the rest. All right, so anytime you think that's not very clear, do it with counters. So up here, and this is one reason why, do you see we're back to all these crazy little lines that make it confusing? And since I put red dots with my red marker, it's even harder to see. But we're looking up here. Think about 10 to find 13 minus 4. Place 13 counters in 2 10 frames. So especially right here, because this is where we're first beginning to think about this, we're going to actually do it with counters. So they used yellow. I'm going to use yellow. Go ahead and get your counters, and if you don't have the 10 frames, that's fine. Just take it and lay them neatly out on the table next to you. All right. So 13, and then remember it says take away 4, but we're going to do it just to get back to 10 first. See, the first thought we want to have is how many do you subtract to get 10? Well, you guys know your teens really well, right? You take off the number in the ones place, and then you're left with the 10. So in 13, we have a 3 in the ones place. We're just going to take that 3 off to get back to 10. Oops, and one of my 3 disappeared down here somewhere. So here are those 3 off. Now that we've done it in real life, we're going to do it in the picture. And can you see here how they're circling the whole 10 frame and crossing it out? Not just those 3, because the point here is we want to get rid of everything in this extra 10 frame. So we've taken off 3. Now, if we have 4 and we take off 3, right, we still have another one to take away. How many more to subtract 4, right? We subtracted 3, but we haven't subtracted 4 yet. We need to subtract 1 more. So there it is. Now, and we'll do it here, and then of course you guys see that, right? You know what 10 and then 1 off is. Now, do you remember how we did this before when we did addition, how they had these 2 lines that showed, excuse me, this 13 minus 3 part? Together, these make the 10. So if you want to even add arrows to show these together, or maybe circle these 2 together to show that those together make 10. And then there was 1 more to take away, and 10 minus 1 is 9. So that means that 13 minus 3 minus 1, and you know this is 4. 13 minus 4 is 9. We just did it in parts. Do you see here's 1, here's 3. Just like on the other page, we actually did take away 6. We just did the 4 first and then the 2. But those 4 and 2 together are the 6 that we took away. So we're doing it in 2 parts. And 2 steps seems longer than 1 step. But if they're really easy steps, 2 steps might be easier than 1 step, right? So we're trying to make it into easy steps rather than maybe one big hard step. So 15 minus 7, let's think here. First of all, we want to get rid of this whole 10 frame, right? So what are we taking away first? Let's go ahead and get it written into this number sentence. We're starting with 15, right? We know we're going to put that there, just like we had 13 here. And then here, do you see the next thing we subtract is whatever's in the extra 10 frame. What do we have in this extra 10 frame? How many? Yes, we have 5. Now, we've done 15 minus 5, and we know that 15 minus 5 together, well, that makes 10, right? But 5 is not what we're supposed to take away. 7 is what we're supposed to take away. So we still have to take away some more to actually have 7 taken away, right? Because we only took away 5. Let me show you that here with my actual counters, right? Here is, oh, and I have these all yellow, but that's all right. You guys have brains enough to follow this. Right, so here are my counters, and it's 15 take away 7. And so when I clear out this 10 frame, though, right, I clear out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I still need to take some more away. So I can do 5, 6, 7. Do you see that? I can do that here also. Here I took away 5, 6, 7. So 5 minus 5, and how many more did we take away here? 2. So 10 minus 2, do you guys know what that is? You can always use counting back. 10, 9, 8. So 15 minus 7 is 8. Now guys, this might seem super complicated to some of you. I would guess most of you right now already are looking at this going, oh, well, yes, of course, that's so easy. We know that this is a really important math strategy, this thing about making a 10. It seems kind of easy right here. Your parents might be saying, oh my goodness, you should just memorize 14 minus 6. And that's true. We do want to have this memorized by some point. But learning this easy strategy here boys and girls, will mean that I can eventually give you a number like 468 minus 607 minus 372, and you'll be able to just pop it right out because you're used to this kind of strategy. So right now, it's not super useful, even though it still is helpful. But for later on, this is such an important strategy. That's why we're going to go ahead and go through it. So keep using counters if you want to. I'm not going to, but it's really valuable to if you want to. So 14 minus 6, we're starting with 14. And the first thing we want to do is get back to a 10, right? So get rid of those extra ones. How many extra ones is that? 4. But what we're actually going to take away is 6, right? So 4, 5, 6, we have 2 more still to take away, don't we? So we're going to, instead of 14 minus 6, we're going to have 14 minus 4 and then minus the other 2, right? And 14 minus 4 together, well, that makes 10 minus 2, and 10, 9, 8. All right, guys, here is the same kind. Do you think you can do this one on your own? Think carefully. Here's what you're starting with. Take away this 10 and write down how many that is. Then how many more do you still need to take away? Write that down here. Then these 2 right here should get you to 10 here. And then go ahead and rewrite this one that you still need to take away over there. How many then are left? All right, last page. A hot problem. You knew they had to get one in here in this lesson somewhere. All right, we're going to use these 10 frames here. And of course, go ahead and use your real counters in imaginary 10 frames if you want to. There are 14 sheep in the herd. 5 sheep run away. How many sheep are left in the herd? They put 14 counters out for us. I guess we have cute, not very fluffy yellow sheep. All right, first thing we're going to do is get rid of the 10. Well, not the 10 frame, right? How many is that we're taking away? And we need to take this many away, right? So we have here 4, 5. We need to take away 1 more, don't we? Now how many are left? So boys and girls, this is a really helpful strategy also for you to imagine it in your mind. Because just counting backwards, this much or 6, it might get confusing, but you can imagine 2 10 frames in your brain, can't you? We've worked with these an awful lot. I know we took a real big break off from them. If we hadn't, man, this would just be right there in your brain. But start working on being able to put pictures of 10 frames in your brain, work with these rows of 5, and imagine those numbers in your brain. See if you can imagine sometimes what would 8 look like in a 10 frame? What would 6 look like in a 10 frame? See if your brain can make a picture of that. All right, which way shows how to make a 10 to solve 15 minus 6? So this is a really confusing question because 15 minus 6 is both of these steps right here, isn't it, right? We take away this 10, and that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we need to take away this other thing here that is the 6th one. So let's see, 15 minus 5, we have that here, don't we? But it's not over here, is it? 10 minus 5, well, we have 10, we have 5, but we weren't taking the 5 away from the 10, right? If we were doing that, we would have crossed this off. 15 minus 5 minus 1, well, let's look. We started with 15, we took off 5 first, and then in step 2, we took off 1. That is what we did, isn't it? It's good to just double check the last one, 10 minus 5. Yeah, we know that, right? We already said we're not working with that over here. Guys, that might have seemed like a lot of work just to do like 4 math problems, but like I said, this strategy is a really, really important one. So taking some time now to really have it settled in your mind and know this strategy inside and out, it helps you to really manipulate number amounts around, and that means 5th grade math is going to be easier and 6th grade math. And you know, Toby and Seth and Colton right now, who they've been doing Algebra 1 and pre-calculus at SBA and high school, knowing how to just automatically go, oh, yeah, numbers work together this way. It's helped make those math classes so much easier for them.